The wealthy heir made a grand, high-profile confession to me. I happily agreed. The very next day, I took the initiative and slept with him. In fact, I had already known. He and his pack of shady friends had made a bet on me. They bet on whether they could pick this poor yet beautiful untouchable flower within a month. Untouchable flower? I don't get it. I'm a righteous woman who punishes evil and promotes good. I'm here to get rid of trouble for the people. I'll take down all 4 of them. Chapter 1. After finishing processing the data, I walked out of the lab. A handsome man was standing at the door, arms full of roses. His features were as delicate as a painting. His eyes round and slightly upturned, he looked like a beautiful boy straight out of a manga. He walked up to me and handed me the roses. Are you Isabella? His tone lifted slightly at the end, carrying a hint of roguish charm. Be my girlfriend. I looked him up and down, then asked, Are you a virgin? The previously nonchalant boy froze, his cat-like eyes widening slightly. Ah, why yes. I didn't ask anything else and simply agreed. All right. Every day, I ran experiments, analyzed data, wrote papers, and attended group meetings. My goal was to publish in Nature. The pressure was intense. I desperately needed an outlet. Since I rejected alcohol and cigarettes, and happened to be a bit of a lustful person, this kind of outlet suited me best. At the thought of a handsome guy basically delivering himself to me, and being clean, I couldn't help but laugh out loud. I pretended not to notice his friends in the hallway behind me, ready to stir things up. We were complete strangers. I wasn't curious why he confessed to me. He was just a tool to me, nothing more. The morning of the 2nd day of our relationship, he came to find me, carrying himself in a careless, frivolous manner. He held a breakfast bag in his hand. Morning, girlfriend. I took the breakfast and thanked him politely. He followed me to my classes. For the first 2 periods, he lay on the desk and slept soundly. For the last 2, he put on headphones and played games. He clung to me, wanting to enter the lab and wait for me. I raised an eyebrow. Then don't touch anything. Alexia raised 3 fingers as if swearing an oath, his tone turning a bit coquettish. I promise I won't touch anything. I just want to watch you. I agreed. Not because his acting cute had much effect on me, but because having a handsome guy to sleep with right after finishing experiments felt amazing. Alexia really was well behaved, sitting obediently to the side, playing on his phone. Every now and then, he would suddenly look at me with deep affection and say a few cheesy, shallow pickup lines. They lacked sincerity, like something he had just memorized. From 7 to 11, he didn't seem bored at all. When I finally finished, I reached out and touched the soft tips of his hair. You're pretty patient. Alexia's pupils were pale, his cat-like eyes smiling. I noticed you a long time ago. You always stayed until late at night, all alone. I was worried you'd feel lonely. I thought, if someone waited for you, you might feel a little happier. I didn't know whether he had really been secretly watching me for a long time, or if he had just memorized another cheesy line. Chapter 2. But I really was happy. Alexia was good-looking. Every movement he made carried a mix of laziness and elegance, both roguish and handsome. The moment he stepped onto campus, he became a standout figure, one of P University's F4, and his family was wealthy. Last night, after returning to the dorm, I hacked into the student union office's surveillance system. Alexia was bragging to his pack of shady friends, who even called her an untouchable flower. That's a scam, right? I confessed and she couldn't wait to say yes. Maybe she's secretly into you? As if. Alexia sprawled into the sofa, his long legs stretched out casually, scoffing. Ha, why not? Women like her, total simps, I can make them lose their minds and go crazy for me with just one look. One of his bros painfully pulled out a property deed. Damn it, I thought she was cold and hard to approach. Always ignoring people. Didn't expect her to be this easy. I thought she'd be a real challenge. Another casually spun his car keys on his finger before tossing them onto the table, grinning. So when are you planning to take her out and hook up? Alexia sighed. Man, it's my first time. Wouldn't it be a loss to waste it on this kind of woman? I mean, she looks all right, but what if she's actually kind of dirty behind the scenes? How nasty. Making things up out of thin air. Through the surveillance feed, I scanned everyone in the room, And then I saw an old acquaintance, William. He was my high school classmate. I transferred into a prestigious private school in my second year. In my very first exam, I ranked first. He accused me of cheating and reported me. I had to retake the exam because of it. Turns out, he had always been number one before I arrived. I beat him by 30 points, and he couldn't accept it. Honestly, what kind of man is that? From then on, I ranked first every single time. Later, once I figured out his level and limits, I started playing with score control. That time, I scored just 1 point higher than him. My acting was flawless. I pretended to be anxious on the surface, as if I was worried he'd surpass me next time. But in reality, I was secretly enjoying his confident expression, convinced he would win. And then the next time, I effortlessly beat him by 30 points again. The look on his face, his complete despair, like his entire belief system had shattered, was simply delicious. It added quite a bit of fun to my otherwise boring life. After that, whatever competitions he signed up for, I signed up too. No matter what it was, I stayed one step ahead of him. William once confronted me, completely breaking down. "Are you messing with me for fun? Look at that, what kind of question is that?" I blinked innocently. "Classmate, what are you talking about?" He glared at me for a long time, but in the end said nothing and left through gritted teeth. Jealous. Petty men deserve to be punished. I chased him relentlessly. He lived under my shadow for 2 years. Until college. I didn't expect him to end up at the same university as me, and even be one of the F4. Unfortunately, we weren't in the same major. I got excited, so much that I even started considering switching majors. I stared at William with interest. He was writing something off to the side, not even lifting his head, letting out a soft scoff. Figures, a woman like that. I turned to look at Alexia's smiling face in front of me. Inside, I let out a cold laugh. Heh, what a fake. Let's see if you can keep pretending after I make you beg. I grabbed his hand and looked up at him. Do you want to make me even happier? Alexia's face turned slightly red. I'm not quite ready yet. I haven't even rinsed my mouth. I haven't bought candy. Not bad. Strong sense of service. When we reached the hotel entrance, Alexia suddenly stopped. Wait, where are we going? I pulled out my ID and waved it, leaning close to his face. What do you think? Startled, Alexia took a step back, crossing his arms over his chest, stumbling over his words. Huh? Aren't we supposed to go for a walk first? Then you accidentally brush my hand, then I hold yours back. And then, I cut him off, smiling sweetly. So that's the kind of thing you want to play? Then let's go upstairs and play. Dazed, Alexia followed me upstairs, and I got exactly what I wanted. As expected, Alexia wasn't any kind of saint. He had absolutely no sense of shame. Chapter 3. The next day, I hacked into the surveillance again. This time, it just so happened they were talking about me. Such vulgar, low-class words, yet I listened with great enjoyment. Albert looked Alexia up and down with interest. Alexia, it's the middle of summer. Why are you wearing a high-collared long sleeve? Aren't you hot? And what's up with your face? You look completely drained. Among the F4 were a pair of twins. Albert was the younger one, flirtatious, fond of teasing girls, sharp-tongued, and he took pleasure in making girls cry with his words. His older brother, Angelo, was the complete opposite, extremely cold and distant. He had never had a girl his age around him growing up, a total brother-obsessed type. He had exceptional talent in computer science, loved coding, and was a hacker. A hacker. Huh? What a coincidence. I happen to know a bit too, though Alexia looked weak. He was smug. You guys have no idea how wild she is. The moment he said that, William suddenly looked up, narrowing his eyes slightly. What did you just say? Alexia pulled down his collar, revealing faint reddish marks, barely visible, but clearly shaped like 5 fingerprints. Those were from last night, when I had straddled his waist and pinned him down by the throat. Well, it couldn't be helped. I did say I needed an outlet for stress, especially after learning his true intentions. I became even more unrestrained. There were marks all over his body, bruises in shades of blue and purple. William stared at him in shock. the pen in his hand snapping in two. Albert spoke in a mocking tone, full of sarcasm. Wow, that's intense. That wild woman, I want to try her too. So, Alexia, when are you breaking up? Didn't you say you'd dump her after hooking up? Alexia let out a vague smile. Later. This was too easy. I want to try something more exciting. Albert rolled up his sleeves, revealing a slender, well-shaped forearm. More exciting? What? Play with her feelings. Let her fall head over heels for you. Obsess over you. Then dump her? Albert rubbed his hands together excitedly. Alexia, you really know how to play. When you break up with her, I'll act as the savior, rescuing a girl heartbroken by love. And when she's at her happiest, I'll humiliate her mercilessly. Then I'll tell her the truth and kick her to the curb. Ha ha ha. Alexia crossed his legs, letting out a scoff. What if she clings to me and cries in public, begging me not to break up? That'd be embarrassing. William frowned slightly. Isn't this going too far? What if she can't take it and does something drastic? I lightly tapped the desk and let out a soft laugh. So William actually had a somewhat human side after all? Albert raised an eyebrow. What's wrong? Don't tell me you've fallen for her? Alexia's expression stiffened. William frowned, as if. Albert was about to continue when Angelo's fingers suddenly froze over the keyboard. He abruptly looked up, his gaze locking directly onto the camera. Through the screen, our eyes met. Angelo coldly cut them off. The next second, the monitor went black. Oh my, looks like I've been discovered. Chapter 4. 4 young, attractive bodies, and such despicable personalities. They actually wanted to toy with my feelings, treat me like some fool. Then they can't blame me for getting rid of trouble for the greater good. I'll gladly take them all. Not only will I sleep with all 4 of them, I'll also make their brotherhood fall apart and have them fighting each other in the streets. Chapter 5. I'm usually very busy. Aside from hooking up with Alexia, I barely paid him any attention. This superficial relationship lasted for a month. After yet another time I ruthlessly used him and got dressed to leave. Alexia, while helping me put on my clothes, suddenly snapped for no reason. What do you even like about me that made you say yes? Why do I feel like, other than doing this, you never smile at me? I exposed my back, signaling for him to zip up my dress. Alexia wrapped his arms around me from behind, burying his face into my neck, his voice muffled. Tell me, what do you like about me? I was in a good mood today, so I half coaxed, half deceived him. Of course I like that you're handsome. That was the truth. If I didn't like his face, I wouldn't have agreed in the first place. Other than that, I really couldn't think of any of his strengths. Alexia looked incredulous. You only like my face? I pulled him off me, turned around, and lightly patted his beautiful face. What's wrong? Isn't your face part of you? Alexia suddenly had an epiphany, muttering to himself. Right, this face isn't on anyone else. If you like this face, that means you like me. Then he fell into confusion again. But beauty fades, and so does love. Besides this, what else do you like about me? My patience ran out, and I gave him a look that clearly said, what exactly about you is worth liking? You're inferior to me in every way, other than that face. What use are you? Alexia froze. Chapter 6. Alexia started trying hard to show off, like a peacock spreading its feathers. I could guess what he was up to without even thinking. Showing off his wealth, trying to humiliate me, a poor student. Since I didn't recognize any of those luxury brands, he took me to high-end social events, wanting to see me embarrassed. To confirm my suspicion, I hacked into the student union surveillance again. Angelo had apparently reinforced several layers of firewall, but I still broke through effortlessly. Honestly, it was hilarious. I hadn't misjudged them at all. They were even more malicious than I thought. William offered advice. She's poor. Take her out to see the world. She'll naturally start to admire you. Alexia slapped his thigh in agreement. Brilliant idea. William continued. Take her to play games she's never tried before. She'll definitely be awkward and afraid of doing badly. And then you can, Albert cut in. Mock her, humiliate her, tear her down. Show your charm. William finished. Take her to a classical concert. From what I know, kids from poor families usually just study all day. They don't have any sense for music. Alexia shook his head. Forget that. I don't have any musical sense either. What if I fall asleep? So they actually wanted to manipulate me emotionally. Make me feel worthless. Like I didn't deserve Alexia. Well then, they can't blame me for turning it right back on them. I played along with this plain, straightforward rich guy. He loved taking me to luxury stores, spending hundreds of thousands on dresses and bags without even blinking. After buying clothes, I said, "Want to book a room so I can try them on just for you?" And then I had my way with him again. Alexia took me yachting, and out in the middle of the ocean, hundreds of miles from shore. I had my way with him again. He took me on a hot air balloon, and thousands of meters above the ground. I had my way with him again. He took me skiing, saying seriously, "After skiing, we'll be too tired for anything like that." And then I had my way with him in the hot springs behind the mountain, with a sore back and aching waist. Alexia carried me into the bath, saying quietly, "When are we going public? People on the campus forum are already speculating about us." I leaned back with my eyes closed, tilting my head slightly. "Didn't you say at the beginning that we should keep this relationship a secret? Then just clarify it, say we're not together, and use your PR methods to suppress the rumors." Alexia's eyes turned red with anger, but his hands kept scrubbing me. "This isn't a rumor." I refused to go public. Alexia grabbed my face, his expression fierce. "What if I insist?" I smiled. "Then we break up." Alexia stared at me in disbelief. That expression clearly said, "You're such a heartless player." Chapter 7. He couldn't suppress me at all. First of all, I'm thick-skinned and mentally tough. I don't spiral. I don't care about embarrassment. And I couldn't care less about what other people think. The first time I ate steak in high school, I ordered it well done. Someone snickered, but I ignored her mocking gaze and asked the waiter for chopsticks and a kitchen knife. Secondly, I'm naturally talented at learning. The second time I tried skiing, skating, paragliding, horseback riding, and golf, I was already better than him, someone who had practiced for over a decade. Alexia's beautiful eyes sparkled as he looked at me with admiration. "How are you so amazing? Is there anything you can't do?" Sometimes he would fall into frustration again. "Isabella, do I really have nothing going for me except this face?" For once, I comforted him and said honestly, "Of course not. Don't you also have an amazing girlfriend like me? Even though you're tacky and a bit dumb, I still chose to be with someone as useless as you." Alexia stopped hanging out much with those friends he used to mess around and make bets with. At first, he still tried to maintain his flirtatious, noble playboy persona and didn't come looking for me often, but now that persona had completely collapsed, totally out of character. He changed tactics. In the empty classroom, he cornered me against the wall, gripping my waist. Eyes reddened. "As long as you like me, I'd give you my life." I couldn't hold it in. I clutched my waist and burst out laughing. Crouching down, if I ever played role play, I definitely wouldn't go for something this cringe. "Why are you so embarrassingly cheesy?" He still didn't stop. Who knows how many CEO romance novels he had read. He was throwing every over-the-top trick at me, after being called a corny tryhard by me countless times. Alexia seemed to have really started thinking of himself as a dog. Chapter 8. Alexia became more and more clingy, wishing he could stick to me 24/7. One day, a junior student came to ask me something. Alexia stood nearby, radiating jealousy like he had swallowed 10 gallons of vinegar. Even during that kind of activity, he kept muttering nonstop like an irritated, puffed-up cat. "Why did you smile at him? You stared at his earring for 3 seconds. Do you like earrings? Then I'll get one too. Will you like me more if I do?" I do like shiny accessories. Back when Alexia used to take me shopping, I always bought things like that. At the time, he had been carefree and cool. "You like earrings? Don't look at me. I hate pain. I'll never get my ears pierced." Now Alexia kept grumbling and sulking, dragging things out. "Am I just your tool? If you don't say you like me, I'm not doing this anymore." His constant whining irritated me. "If you don't want to, then leave. It's not like I forced you." Alexia's eyes widened in disbelief. What did you just say? You're going to find that junior instead, aren't you? You don't want me anymore, right? Why does he always make that face? After being with me this long, doesn't he know what kind of person I am? I smiled. Can I? No. What do you even take me for? Am I still your boyfriend or not? All right then, I'll break up with you first. Honestly, I should thank him for making that bet with me in the first place. It put me on the moral high ground. I could end things anytime I got bored. Alexia hurriedly covered my mouth. No, I don't agree. Then why are you so sensitive? If you don't trust me, why stay with me? Round and round we went, and this dumb puppy got completely twisted up by me again. He couldn't argue back at all, looking miserable. In the end, he lowered himself and apologized softly. I'm sorry, it's my fault. It was his fault. I had nothing going on with that junior. The one I had something with was William. That day, Alexia walked me to the dorm entrance, clinging to me for a long time, turning back every few steps before finally leaving. William suddenly appeared from nowhere, his expression cold. Hello, I have something to say to you. I thought his conscience was finally trying to grow back. William was starting to seem more human. I waited for him to expose his good friend. He took a breath and stayed silent for a long time. Say something already. Holding a fake smile was making my face stiff. When I got too impatient and stood up to leave, he grabbed my wrist and said awkwardly, Can you play with me? No, I mean, basically. I sorted through his words and tested. You want to be my side piece? Ugh, I overestimated him. Still such a fake person. No wonder they hang out together, birds of a feather. Behind his silver-rimmed glasses, his peach blossom eyes trembled slightly, a misty sheen forming. Yeah, are you a virgin? William froze, taking a long time to react before nodding lightly. Why yes, I am. At least his looks lived up to his name, refined and elegant, like winter bamboo standing tall in the cold wind. What a shame, he turned out to be this kind of man. I could tell at a glance. William liked me, because Alexia looked at me the same way now. I didn't care why he had feelings for me. Maybe he just craved emotional junk food, like someone addicted to cheap, fast affection. Either way, I accepted it with a smile. Chapter 9. The last time Alexia got together with his shady, troublemaking friends was a month ago. That day, after being thoroughly brainwashed by me again, he was in a terrible mood. His so-called brothers said he had changed a lot. Alexia felt pretty good about himself. Not really, right? I'm just a bit worried about people trying to steal my girlfriend. That's normal, isn't it? William tried to comfort him. You're being way too sensitive. If you push a girl too hard, she'll start to resent you. You should give her some personal space. Humph. You've never even dated anyone. What do you know? Albert twitched at the corner of his mouth. Give me my car back. Alexia covered his face. I'll get you a new one tomorrow. Albert looked at his expression and immediately realized something. His face darkened with fury. Wait, don't tell me you two did it in the car? Alexia snapped too. Enough. Stop talking. I'll get you an even cooler one tomorrow. Go to hell. I was planning to hook up with some hot chick in that car. Now you won't even let people make dirty jokes anymore? Alexia shot to his feet, glaring sharply at Albert. You dare? Albert didn't back down, firing insults right back at him. Look at yourself, acting like a pathetic simp. Aren't you embarrassed? Alexia scoffed. What simp? She clearly said I'm her cutest little puppy. You guys have no idea how adorable she is. Forget it. I can't talk to a bunch of single losers who've never had girlfriends. I'm going to see my wife. Alexia and William left one after the other. Only Angelo and Albert remained in the office. Angelo's fingers tapped rapidly on the keyboard. Albert leaned over next to his brother. Bro, don't you think he's acting weird? We invite him out 10 times. He shows up once, and when he does, he just sits there on his phone and leaves in under half an hour. Has he ditched us? Angelo replied coldly. Yeah, I want to see what kind of woman she is. Is she seriously that irresistible? She's got him completely wrapped around her finger. Angelo didn't even look up. Yeah, after a while, Albert said. What's up with Alexia? I wanted to check out that girl from his posts. Bro, did you save any of them? He used to post her all the time. Don't tell me he's finally breaking up. Damn, even tricking us? I knew Alexia wouldn't. Wait, what's this? Albert read Alexia's latest post, his face turning darker with every word. What do you mean my wife is beautiful and adorable? You're not worthy of knowing her. Clutching his phone, Albert paced back and forth, muttering to himself. He's insane. He's definitely insane. He's being played by a woman. How could he get toyed with like this? I have to save him. Albert kept rambling nonstop, while Angelo's replies stayed brief, but he responded to everything. Didn't save them. Yeah, what a heartwarming scene of brotherly camaraderie. If only they weren't discussing how to mess with me. Chapter 10. Angelo didn't think there was anything wrong with what his brother was planning. To him, it was no different from the cruel pranks Albert had pulled before. Albert had loved deceiving people since he was young, especially girls. He enjoyed watching them cry over him, acting like their world was ending. Then he would mercilessly mock their self-delusion. He had an innocent-looking face, always wearing a bright, sunny smile, pretending to be naive and harmless. The number of girls whose feelings he had played with couldn't even be counted on two hands. Angelo never participated in such childish bets, but he was used to cleaning up his brother's messes. As for this girl, aside from being his good friend's girlfriend, she wasn't anything special. Alexia was just obsessed with her for now. Once he realized she had been seduced by Albert and cheated on him, he would naturally dump her in anger. After Albert broke them up, he would get bored and end the game. The four of them had grown up together, practically wearing the same pants since childhood. There was no way they would fall out over a girl. Chapter 11. I received a friend request from Albert. Senior, you're kinda wild. Huh. I was busy writing my paper, so I ignored him. After I finished and checked my phone, he had spammed me with messages. Senior, I wanna try too. Senior, your body's amazing. We'd be a perfect match. Senior, I'm good at everything. Senior, are you shy? Senior, I'm just joking. You're not mad, right? Why are you ignoring me? Senior, don't tell me you're some uptight prude. I let out a cold laugh and accepted his request. Senior, what were you doing for the past 3 hours? Is Alexia that good? I'm pretty good too. You wanna see for yourself. What a shameless, thirsty dog. Smiling, I typed, sure. Before I could send it, Alexia rushed over and hugged me from behind. Wife, you've worked hard. I bought milk tea, booked a room. What do you want to play today? This. I set Albert to do not disturb. Wife, who are you chatting with? I turned off the screen. No one. Let's go. Heh. If I've got a dog, why not tease it? Especially such a top-tier pathetic simp. Alexia watched me all day, suspicious of everything. If a good-looking guy said hello to me in passing, he'd immediately suspect the guy was trying to flirt with me. He even tried to check my phone. I have no obligation to let him. I said, if being with me makes you this insecure and unhappy, then. Alexia leaned down and kissed me, cutting off the rest of my sentence. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's my fault. Don't say it. I'm confiscating your or romance novels. You're seriously so tacky. Sorry. Night fell deeper. After sending Alexia away, William stepped out from the shadows. I smiled. You're getting better at hiding. William let out a low laugh. Can't help it, he clings to you too tightly. No class at all. Unlike me, once I take his place, I definitely won't suffocate you like that. Yeah, right. As if I'd believe that. William hooked a finger into the hem of my clothes, his gaze shimmering like a seductively dangerous spirit. Come to my place? Chapter 12. The moment we stepped inside, I couldn't wait. I pushed William against the door. He had a refined, elegant look when dressed. He seemed slim. At first, the ones who caught my attention were actually the twins, broad-built, with wide chests and narrow waists. Compared to them, William seemed rather lean, but since he came to me on his own, why not take advantage of it? Only after he took off his clothes did I realize his body was unexpectedly good. Slim, with well-defined, delicate muscles, smooth lines, and pale, fine skin. He was still wearing a suit today, as if he had just finished a presentation and rushed over to find me, like unwrapping a gift. I began undoing his shirt buttons one by one, but the hem of his shirt was tucked into his pants and wouldn't come out. Curious, I slid my hand downward along the shirt. I felt a raised strap around his thigh. You're wearing a thigh strap? That's pretty bold. William, doesn't match your name at all. It's a shirt garter. Excited and impatient, I sped up my movements. The garter was fastened tightly around his firm thigh. My gaze lingered. His legs were long, straight, and pale. It made me involuntarily imagine what he'd look like in stockings. He carried me to the sofa. I sat down, tilting my head back slightly. William knelt, his slender fingers wrapped around my thigh, pressing lightly into soft flesh and leaving faint red marks. Suddenly, a phone rang. The interruption annoyed me. I grabbed his hair, forcing him to lift his head. A layer of moisture clouded his peach blossom eyes. His lips glistened slightly, completely unlike his usual cold, restrained demeanor. Your phone. William hung up without hesitation. The caller persisted, ringing again. I glanced at the screen. It was Albert. Your good brother is calling. Aren't you answering? You should pick up. He seems pretty urgent. William turned off his phone entirely. He moved back in front of me, lowering himself on his knees. His head rested against my abdomen. Voice hoarse. Forget about him. Look at me. Just as things were getting good. Another interruption. The doorbell rang. William's grip on my leg tightened. Finally, he stood up and went to the smart video intercom panel. Albert narrowed his eyes. William, why'd you remove my facial recognition access? What are you doing in there? William replied coldly. Nothing. What do you want? Oh, I think I just saw you bring Alexia's girlfriend here. Just confirming. William lied without expression. No, you're mistaken. Really? Yes. I perked up, every cell in my body trembling with excitement. I was just about to deliberately speak, to push the drama to its peak. Albert let out a low chuckle. William, you wouldn't want Alexia to find out you're hitting on his girlfriend, would you? So? Open the door. Let me have a turn too. What? That's seriously messed up. William's face turned livid. Albert continued. If you can, why can't I? Then he raised his voice. Senior, don't you want to try it? Damn, what a shameless man, I said. Sure. William turned his head sharply, staring at me in disbelief. What was that look supposed to mean? He was already acting as the side piece. Where did he get that sense of possessiveness? Open the door. William pressed a hand against his heaving chest, then picked up clothes and put them back on me. I stepped back and asked, aren't they just going to come off again later? He ignored me and kept dressing me. After finishing, he opened the door. Albert rushed in immediately, pulling out a thumb-sized camera and snapping photos rapidly. William quickly stepped in front of me to block him. Thankfully, he hadn't been careless. He was at least wearing pants, though his shirt was unbuttoned almost all the way down, exposing a large stretch of pale chest and abdomen. What the hell are you doing? Rare, this was the first time I'd ever heard William lose his composure and swear. Albert smirked. You wouldn't want your little secret exposed to the whole world, right? William snapped. You wouldn't dare. Sigh. Albert had such a cute, boyish face. Why were his actions so vile? I spoke calmly. You can leave. William froze mid-punch. Stunned. You're just letting him go like that? He might look strong, but if it really came to a fight, I wouldn't necessarily lose. I'll get the camera back right now. Albert grinned, meeting my eyes. Senior, he's so aggressive. Unlike me, I don't fight back or talk back. He looks like the type to be abusive, totally unhinged. You. I smiled. I meant, you leave. He stays. William's voice cracked in shock. What? Is this your place? Chapter 13. You actually dare to be alone with me? Albert swaggered in and started talking big the moment he entered. A guy and a girl alone in a room. Don't tell me you're planning to get the camera back this way? Don't pass out later, okay? Ugh, so scary. Then why was he still just standing there? I gestured for him to continue. So what are you going to do? Albert froze for a few seconds, looking completely dumb. Finally, he reacted and slowly moved closer, pushing me down onto the sofa. A dangerous smile bloomed on his otherwise innocent face. Senior, don't cry and beg for mercy later. His palms were large and warm, wandering over my waist, and staying there forever. I laughed. You like waists? A flicker of guilt flashed in Albert's eyes. His fingers trembled slightly. I was speechless. Call William back. What? Albert flared up like an angry kitten. I said calmly. Call him to teach you. Who are you looking down on? I ignored him and stood up directly. My chest bumped straight into his. His chest muscles were well built, probably around 110 centimeters. Such a baby-faced look. Yet such a striking physique. Exactly my type. Albert froze completely, then sprang back like he'd been electrocuted. Why aren't you wearing a bra? Maybe William thought you'd be leaving soon. I picked up my phone, ignoring the 99+ unread messages from Alexia, and was about to message William. Albert suddenly lunged forward, snatching my phone away. I looked at him disapprovingly. His ears were red as if they might bleed. His words stumbling. You're not allowed to call him. All talk, no skill. Albert hugged me and made me sit on his lap. His hand slowly moved along my thigh. And then it didn't move anywhere for a long time. All talk, no skill. My time is valuable, you know? Albert kept rambling to himself. The contrast in his behavior was almost amusing. For a moment, I felt something different. His persona and his face finally matched. I quietly watched him. His entire face turned red, his fingers trembling more and more, his body stiffening. Finally, he gathered all his courage and instantly pulled his hand back like lightning, yelling, "Why aren't you wearing underwear? How cute, adorable, looks like he needs guidance." I said, "Carry me to the bedroom." Chapter 14. Albert held my hips and placed me on the bed. On the bed lay a cat ear-made outfit and various props. Albert's pupils shrank slightly. His innocent, boyish face returned to its usual smile, but a hint of malice flickered in his eyes. It seemed like he had regained some confidence. His tone turned mocking again. "Wow, Senior, you're really wild. Are you his little pet?" He leaned closer, his presence aggressive, easily trapping me in his arms. He picked up the cat ear headband and put it on me. "So cute, little kitty." Then he grabbed the maid outfit, holding my shoulders. "Let your master help dress his little kitten." He lifted the outfit, hesitating. "Wait, is the size wrong? Why is it so big?" He compared it to my body. The more he looked, the more confused he became. "Who is this even for?" "Now it's for you." Albert resisted immediately. "No way. What kind of grown man would wear this? If you can't even do this, how are you going to charm women? If you don't know how, I can call William to demonstrate." After a round of persuasion, Albert reluctantly put it on. His frame was larger, and the outfit stretched tightly across his chest, leaving faint marks. Now dressed up, Albert stared blankly at his own legs and stockings. I tied a bow on him, then placed the cat ears on his head. Quickly, I restrained him. Only after everything was done did Albert finally react. Shocked. "What are you doing?" He was so noisy. Such a handsome guy, what a waste he had a mouth. I casually grabbed something and stuffed it into his mouth. Albert's eyes widened as he looked up at me in disbelief. I was in a great mood. Before I could even plan how to deal with this troublesome guy, he had delivered himself right to me. Suddenly, the phone rang. Chapter 15. I pulled the phone out of Albert's pants. "Oh, it's your brother calling. MMPH. Albert struggled, his eyes fixed intensely on me. I removed the gag, saliva trailing down his chin. He coughed twice. "Hurry and let me go. That hurts." "My brother's looking for me?" I hung up the call and used Albert's finger to unlock the phone. "Brother, where did you go tonight? Did you go find Alexia's girlfriend?" "Alexia's here complaining to me, says she's ignoring him again. William's not here either. So annoying. Alexia drank a bit and keeps bothering me, talking about love and feelings. Why is he asking me? I don't know anything about that." Message withdrawn. I smiled with interest and replied, "I did. So what?" Brother, just don't get caught. Will Big Brother help me keep Alexia busy? Dot. I crouched halfway down and patted Albert's face. Your brother is pretty open-minded. MMPH. The screen lit up again with a new message. Don't go too far. Don't break her. Dot. I frowned. What did that mean? And what if I do? Then I'll have to clean up your mess again. I narrowed my eyes. I slapped Albert across the face, knocking his head to the side. You really have a great brother. Angelo's meaning was obvious. Albert could do whatever he wanted, no matter how he treated me or humiliated me. Angelo would always stand on his side. How was that any different from a spoiled brat backed by indulgent parents? The thought filled me with irritation. He favored his brother completely, not caring about anyone else at all. I took out my own phone and added Angelo. Angelo replied, "Hello. What is it?" I said, "The sun is really bright here." Angelo replied, "I sent it night right now?" I said, "How big is it over there?" Angelo? What do you mean? There's no sun here. I stood up, stepping onto Albert's shoulder, and took a photo directly in his face. Sent. Angelo, what did you do to him? I replied, "Good brother. You wouldn't want your little brother's photos spreading everywhere, right? You also wouldn't want people to know your brother tried to seduce his best friend's girlfriend, right? So, let's see. Dot. Angelo, where is he? Before things become irreversible, let's see. Dot. Angelo sent a question mark. What do you mean? I typed, since you're twins, everything should be the same, right? If I take a look at yours, I won't play with his. How about that? Just send one photo, and I'll let him go. Deal? There was no reply for a long time. I got bored waiting, so I started piling shiny accessories and lace decorations onto Albert. I clipped multiple ear cuffs onto his ears. So pretty. Albert was practically covered in accessories now. Every slight movement made a pleasant jingling sound. His gaze turned dark, like it was saying, when I get out of this, you're dead. You're not being obedient. Haven't you figured out the situation? How dare you look at me like that? MMPH. MMPH. Albert tried to shake his head, but a chain around his neck limited him to small movements. I picked up a sparkling hair clip and approached him with a smile. Albert looked terrified, retreating until he hit the wall with nowhere left to go. My phone vibrated. I eagerly opened it. Image. Where is he? Nice. What a good brother. Such a big sacrifice. I nitpicked. You didn't show your face. How do I know whose it is? No response again. But that didn't matter. I never planned to let this willingly delivered prey go anyway. Besides, I was a little curious, holding the photo in my left hand and the real person in my right. So even twins have differences. Albert shot me a horrified look, as if saying, "Are you insane?" I stepped on him lightly. Do you know how much trouble you've caused your brother? Albert's fearful expression suddenly calmed. I removed the gag. He coughed twice, then smiled. How much trouble could Senior be? My brother's handled things like this for me plenty of times. What? Plenty of times? Disgusting. I felt a wave of nausea, barely resisting the urge to throw him out. My expression darkened, voice turning cold. So you've done this kind of thing a lot? Albert froze, then snapped back. What? You think everyone's as twisted as you? This is the first time anyone's ever done something like this to me. My phone vibrated again. I opened the image. It was taken from a high, downward angle. Angelo looked at the camera expressionlessly. The tear mole at the corner of his eye gave him a dangerously alluring look. One hand lifted his shirt slightly, revealing a glimpse of pale, well-defined abs. Wow. Cold-faced but unexpectedly alluring. This is promising. So bold. And he still reacted like that. Where? I didn't reply to Angelo. Instead, I looked down at Albert from above. Let's guess, when will your brother come to rescue you? Chapter 16. 3 hours later. The bedroom door opened when Angelo rushed in. His usually cold, composed face was filled with shock. Albert was in tears, his eyes unfocused, his tongue hanging out. Hearing the noise, I turned around, leaned close to Albert's ear, and said with a smile, word by word, "Look, who's here?" Albert was already delirious. He responded instinctively, dazed, with a trembling, tearful voice. I was wrong. I was wrong. It hurts. It feels awful. I was wrong. The puppy knows he was wrong. Angelo staggered, looking like he had just lost a limb. What did you do to him? Let him go. I grabbed Albert's chin, forcing his unfocused eyes to turn toward Angelo. Tell your brother what we were doing. Albert was completely incapable of thinking. He could only repeat mechanically. The puppy was wrong, please. I smiled sweetly, almost innocently, and reproached Angelo. Good brother, how could you arrive so late? Chapter 17. The pressure inside me was finally released. When I came out, I saw William standing at the door. William was meticulous and cautious. He carefully cleaned me up, and had even prepared food in advance, waiting for me. Such a perfect side piece. I almost suspected his side job was being a housekeeper. Hardworking, obedient, and didn't even ask for anything in return. He hid everything flawlessly. Alexia hadn't noticed a thing. Outside, he would automatically pretend not to know me, so I treated him quite gently. Only when dealing with someone like Albert, that kind of vile dog, could I fully unleash my worst, most indulgent side. Only then could I truly have fun. As for Angelo, compared to Albert, his personality suited my taste more. They liked watching a high and untouchable flower fall into the mud. And honestly, I liked that too. Chapter 18. The next day, Albert blocked my path angrily. What did you do to me yesterday? Aw, youth really is a wonderful thing. Recovery is so fast. I blinked innocently. I don't know. What did I do? Albert's face flushed red, his expression twisting as he broke down. Why, you're a beast. You even put that kind of thing in there. Everything hurts now. It hurts so bad. I suddenly leaned closer. Would you feel better if I apologized? Then apologize. I flashed a bright smile and spread my hands. Well then, I'm so sorry. I had looked into his past after deceiving girls. Albert loved to apologize with that same smug, insincere expression. His face shifted from red to green, then green to pale. He lowered his voice, sounding almost like he wanted credit. Do you know my brother wanted to call the police on you? I stopped him. So I'm supposed to be grateful? Seriously, would the police even care about our niche preferences? And what right did Angelo have to call the police? None of us were exactly innocent here. Albert choked on his words. No, I just mean, you can't do that to me again. It really hurt. He was actually thinking about it next time. Unbelievable, shameless to an almost impressive degree. Suddenly, Alexia appeared, pulling me into his arms and glaring at Albert. Why are you standing so close to my girlfriend? I pushed him away. You've been drinking? You stink. Stay away from me. Alexia stared at his now empty arms, looking wronged. I only had a little. You ignored me yesterday. I was just too upset. So you drink and then blame it on me? What next, if you start smoking, doing drugs, robbing people, or committing crimes? Will you blame that on me too? Alexia tugged lightly at my sleeve, apologizing softly. I'm sorry, that's not what I meant. I won't drink anymore. Please forgive me, okay? Albert clicked his tongue. Alexia snapped. Why are you bothering my girlfriend? Albert grinned. We're just talking normally. You really look like a bitter husband right now, so suffocating. Alexia grabbed Albert by the collar. Why are you talking to my girlfriend? Albert looked at me with mock grievance. Senior, look at him, he even controls who you talk to. He's going to tear my clothes. So violent. Alexia let go, his tone turning soft and pleading. Wife, it's not like that. I wouldn't do that. He's just trying to drive a wedge between us. If your relationship is so strong, how could I possibly succeed? Albert's smile turned malicious. Or is Alexia feeling guilty? Did you do something behind Senior's back? Alexia's expression twisted for a moment before turning cold. No, I played along, pretending to be curious. Did you do something behind my back? Cold sweat formed on Alexia's forehead, his arms trembling slightly. Wife, don't listen to him. He's low and manipulative. Albert suddenly laughed brightly. throwing an arm around Alexia's shoulder. Ha ha ha. Just kidding. Senior, even though he was just insulting me, Alexia is actually a sincere and kind guy. I smiled faintly. Really? Albert lied without hesitation. Of course, Alexia is the best boyfriend in the world. Alexia nodded nervously. The shiny earring on Alexia's ear caught the sunlight, sparkling brightly. Drawn to it, I leaned closer without thinking. Didn't you say you'd never get your ears pierced? Alexia bent down happily. Does it look good? Do you like it? It looks good. I like it. But weren't you afraid of pain? With you by my side, I'm not afraid. But I'm busy. I don't have time to stay with you. Alexia took my hand and placed it beside his ear, speaking devoutly. It's okay, as long as you're in my heart. I won't be afraid of pain. Alexia took my hand and led me away. Behind me, I could feel a damp, lingering gaze following. I turned back. Albert was staring straight at me. His pupils were as dark as a deep abyss. A smile hung on his lips, but it didn't reach his eyes. Chapter 19. Alexia had 5 piercings on one ear now, all filled with earrings. When we first got together, he couldn't even stand wearing an ear cuff for long before complaining it hurt. I kind of miss how rebellious and untamed he used to be. We bought a whole bag full of studs and earrings. When I was with William, I casually gave him a few pairs. William was overjoyed. This was the first gift I had ever given him. Isabella, do you want me to get my ears pierced too? Then he hesitated a bit. But if I do, Alexia will definitely notice. But it's okay. I can handle him. I pinched his soft cheeks. No need. Earrings don't suit you. They're more his style, edgy. Cool. Your vibe is different. Then why did you give them to me? Alexia gave me too many. Throwing some away makes the house cleaner. William lowered his head, looking at the earrings he had treated like treasures. A trace of tears welled up in his eyes. I couldn't be bothered with his fragile feelings. I pulled out a light silk outfit. Tada! Today you're a noble lady from the Tang dynasty, and I'm the rogue who steals beauties. I've realized you're perfect for historical roles. Getting your ears pierced would actually ruin some of them. William's disappointment vanished instantly, and he slipped into character quickly. He learned fast, picked things up immediately. His acting was excellent, paired with that cold, indifferent face of his. It always stirred in me a strong urge to completely dominate him. Doctor, officer, courtesan, poor student, sheltered young noble, firefighter, lawyer, British policeman. Wow, we've played so many roles. Chapter 20. Albert started clinging to me like glue. Sometimes I seriously wondered if he even had a brain. William hid everything perfectly. Albert, on the other hand, was ridiculously sloppy, just putting on a superficial act. He kept bombarding me with messages, sending all kinds of shameless, suggestive texts. He openly engineered coincidental encounters. He showed up so often that every time Alexia saw him, his expression changed. What the hell are you trying to do, Albert? Out of all this space, you just have to keep showing up right in front of me? Albert grinned. What a coincidence. Alexia, must mean we're destined to run into each other. Oh, you're glued to Senior again? A man being this clingy really lowers his value. If you ask me, go to hell. Why are you getting mad? Alexia, aren't we best bros? Stay away from my girlfriend, all right? Senior, look at him, so aggressive. They say you should judge a man not only by how he treats you, but also by how he treats his friends. Albert's persistence was truly unbeatable. Luckily, Angelo showed up in time and dragged him away. As Albert was being pulled by the collar, he waved at me while stepping backward. See you next time, Senior, Alexia shouted after him. Who wants to see you again? Albert blew a kiss. Alexia looked disgusted. Standing behind Alexia, I blew a kiss back at Albert, silently mouthing, see you. Albert suddenly turned his head away, half his face flushing red. With a shameless dog like him, I felt no guilt messing with him. Since he came to me, I might as well make full use of him. After all, I already had a clingy main boyfriend and a considerate side piece. That was more than enough to satisfy my desires. So with Albert, it was purely about release. To this day, I haven't slept with him. They say once wounds heal, the pain is forgotten. But Albert doesn't even remember the pain while he's still injured. He comes back every day just to provoke me again. Honestly, what kind of man even is this? Chapter 21. I pressed on the wound on Albert's chest. With a slight push, beads of blood seeped out. Albert sucked in a sharp breath. Hiss. Go easy. Senior. That really hurts. I took out an earring and held it near his ear. Comparing. Albert licked his lips. That's not great. Is it? Senior? If you put the earrings Alexia gave you on me, what if he finds out? The sarcastic tone made it obvious he wasn't actually worried about Alexia finding out. If anything, it felt like, as long as I gave it to him, he'd wear it proudly and post close-ups online, like he wanted the whole world to know. I patted his face and said regretfully, "Earrings don't suit your ears." Then I pulled hard, fabric tore with a sharp sound. Albert's full chest muscles bounced free. His skin was pale with a healthy pink tone from constant exercise. Top tier. I picked up a ruby stud. Albert stopped smiling. Senior, don't smile like that. I'm scared. I grabbed his chest firmly. Albert's face turned to panic. Damn, what the hell? Are you crazy? Let go of me. Heh, playing hard to get. What a shameless man. Oh, Alexia wouldn't even blink. Forget it. I'll go find him instead. I made a move to stand up. Albert bit onto the hem of my skirt, mumbling. Wait, I didn't say you couldn't do it. I sat back down on his abs. Albert closed his eyes, occasionally taking shallow breaths. It hurts. Go easier. Alexia never says it hurts. Albert bit his lip and fell silent, only letting out occasional muffled sounds. The blood-red gem looked even more striking against his pale chest. The phone rang again. My fingers were tracing along his canine tooth, and I was getting impatient. Are you under your brother's control or something? Why does he keep calling you? I picked up the call, turned on speaker, and held it near Albert's ear. His saliva slid down my fingers to his chin. MMPH, brother? Angelo's cool voice came through, laced with irritation. You went to find her again, didn't you? I pulled my hand away and wiped it casually on Albert's chest. Albert laughed lazily. So what if I did? You know how much he likes her. Stop now. If this continues, we'll fall apart. A brotherhood that can fall apart over a woman isn't worth keeping anyway, as long as we don't fall apart. Who cares about Alexia? Fine. Alexia is heading your way. Albert immediately sat up, the accessories on him jingling loudly. Holy shit! Why didn't you say that earlier? How close is he? The next second, the doorbell rang. Chapter 22. Come to think of it, this apartment was bought for me by Alexia. Back then, he wanted to register his fingerprint access. Good thing I didn't agree. Albert was wrapped in an apron, nothing underneath, kneeling on the floor as he hurriedly cleaned up. I sat on the sofa, legs crossed, mocking him in a drawn-out tone. Who cares about Alexia? Albert didn't feel embarrassed at all. You really are a bad woman. You don't care about Alexia. I do. Men are impossible to read. I couldn't be bothered guessing what he was thinking. I hugged him from behind, playing with the earring, leaning close to his ear. I smiled. Compared to him, I think I like you more. The doorbell rang more urgently. Albert's body stiffened. He gently removed my arms. That's not appropriate. Sister-in-law. Then he turned and went back into the room to change clothes. I opened the door. Alexia stood outside, looking anxious. He rushed in and hugged me tightly, his body trembling slightly. I hugged him back, speaking softly. What's wrong? Alexia buried his face in my neck, his voice muffled. I dreamed that some shameless guy was trying to seduce you. It scared me to death. Baby, that wasn't a dream. And it wasn't just one guy, either. I gently stroked his back. If I've made you feel this insecure, I should reflect on that too. For the first time, I didn't manipulate him. Women can be soft-hearted. After being together this long, I was almost ready to forgive how awful he was at the beginning. Wife, you did nothing wrong. It's all those shameless men's fault. That excuse was practically handed right to me. Did he realize something? Albert casually walked out. What a coincidence. Alexia, what are you doing here so late? Looking for senior? Alexia didn't hesitate for even a second. A vicious punch flew straight toward Albert's face. With no restraint at all, Albert's head snapped to the side from the impact, blood appearing at the corner of his mouth. His gaze darkened, his voice turning cold. Alexia, attacking without a word isn't very appropriate. Is it? I'll beat the hell out of you, you shameless bastard. The two men started fighting immediately, both of them trained in combat sports, strong physiques. Every punch landing solidly. Albert got irritated too, provoking Alexia nonstop. A left hook. If I were senior, I'd have dumped a jealous man like you ages ago. A punch to Albert's stomach. My girlfriend likes me just fine. Go to hell, you piece of trash. A kick to Alexia's leg. Who would like a man as low as you? You can lie to your friends, but don't lie to yourself. It was like a championship fight. Honestly impressive. Love you. Bro, take this punch. Even while fighting, Albert didn't forget to act pitiful. Senior, look at him. He barged in and started hitting me for no reason. I told you he has violent tendencies, and he's even slandering our innocence. Strange, why did Albert sound so convinced? What exactly was he acting aggrieved about? And why hadn't he taken off that cat ear headband? Wasn't that basically provoking Alexia on purpose? Alexia sneered, reaching out to rip it off. You bastard. Seducing my girlfriend, don't you deserve to die? A flicker of stunned realization flashed through Alexia's eyes. That was hilarious. Did Albert seriously forget to take it off? Albert's dark gaze shifted toward Alexia. His smile faded, his tone turning eerie. You know exactly what you've done, don't you? I spoke up at just the right moment, feigning curiosity. What did he do? Alexia's Adam's apple bobbed as he let out a cold laugh. Oh, the plot's moving fast now? Me, innocent and confused. Alexia, guilty and tense. Albert, the sly, sharp-tongued dog. The tension reached its peak. Then, Angelo finally arrived. Chapter 23. Angelo stepped in front of Albert. Alexia wiped the corner of his mouth. Angelo, your brother did something like this and you're still protecting him? Angelo's voice was cold. That's just how Albert is. We've known each other for over 10 years, you should know that. Besides, is your girlfriend completely innocent? It takes two to tango, from what I see. She's enjoying herself. What a great brother. Shifting the blame onto me just like that. Noted. You're finished. Alexia's eyes turned red. My wife is kind and innocent. She did nothing wrong. Your brother is shameless. Seducing her. What kind of man wears something like that and shows up at someone else's girlfriend's place at night? Angelo lied without blinking. It was just for a stage performance. I spoke up at the right moment. What performance? Who the hell signed me up? Angelo's expression stiffened. But he quickly recovered. Enough. You take care of your girlfriend. I'll take care of my brother. This ends here. Alexia clenched his fists, ready to fight 2 against 1. My wife is flawless. Your trash brother is the one who seduced her. William finally arrived, quietly standing beside Alexia. In my apartment now stood 4 tall, striking men. The tension in the air was explosive. I was getting annoyed. If you're going to fight, take it outside. I'm tired. Alexia looked at me with grievance, eyes welling up. Wife. Albert licked his teeth and flashed me a bright smile. William glanced at me calmly. Angelo didn't look at me at all. He just pulled Albert away. Finally, some peace and quiet. My thesis was nearing completion, and my application for a top university offer was already under review. In about a month and a half, I'd be leaving. With just a bit more pushing, Albert and Alexia would completely fall out. William had already betrayed them. Before I leave, all that's left is to deal with Angelo. Chapter 24. The more I forbade Albert from doing something, the more determined he became to do it. Before, he at least tried to hide things a little. Now, he didn't even bother pretending anymore. Albert kept coming to me, while telling him I liked him more. I became harsher and harsher in how I treated him. Alexia came to me too, but a person's energy is limited. William had been pursuing me more intensely lately, and I had already vented most of my frustration on Albert. So I started treating Alexia coldly. I heard that Alexia and Albert had fought several more times, both ending up in the hospital. I was busy spending time with William. I didn't visit either of them even once. Instead, Angelo came to find me on his own. "Can you stop messing with Albert?" I found it amusing. What did I lie to him about? "You don't even like him. You're making him fight with Alexia. Does that make you feel accomplished? Cars, houses, money, whatever you want. I'll give it to you. Just stop playing with Albert, okay?" I smiled gently and asked in return, "If you walk by the river often, your shoes are bound to get wet. Why don't you try properly disciplining your dear brother instead?" Chapter 25. William invited me to a private room. The door was slightly ajar. Inside, Albert was smiling as he said to Alexia, "Alexia, you wouldn't want Senior to find out you made a bet about her, would you? You dare say that? You bastard. Don't forget, you made the bet too." "I did. So what? It's not like I even like her." I pushed the door open and stood there quietly watching them. Albert froze. "Senior?" Alexia's whole body stiffened. It took him a long time to react. I walked in and slapped both of them, one each. Then I turned and left. Alexia chased after me. "Wife, listen to me explain." "Sure, go ahead." Tears streamed down his face like broken beads, but he couldn't get a word out. I kindly reminded him, "You got with me because of a bet." Alexia trembled, apologizing in a low voice. "I'm sorry, it's not like that." I went along with it. "All right, you won. Let's break up." "I don't want to break up. Please." "I'm sorry. It's not like that." The night market street was crowded. I remembered something he once said, so I decided to mess with him one last time. "If you kneel and apologize, I'll consider it." The moment I finished speaking, Alexia dropped to his knees with a thud. He clung to my waist, crying uncontrollably. "Don't break up with me, please." "I'll change, wife, don't leave me." I pried his arms off me, word by word. "You're really pathetic." After saying that, I left him kneeling on the ground and went home. William was waiting at the door. Originally, I had been driving a wedge between Albert and Alexia, to use it as leverage against Angelo. But now, he had disrupted the rhythm of my plan. I was annoyed, so I said, "You're just as petty and jealous as you were in high school." With a loud bang, I shut the door, leaving William outside, on the verge of tears. Not smiling anymore. Are you? Now it's my turn to laugh. Chapter 26. Alexia came to apologize. He knew he was at fault, so his behavior was both extreme and restrained. Extreme. He got tongue and lip piercings, maybe even more in places I couldn't see. Trying to tempt me. Restrained. He only dared to stand 3 meters away, tearfully begging for forgiveness. Albert, on the other hand, was completely different. Even after everything was exposed, it seemed to have no effect on him at all. When he found out we had broken up, he even grinned and asked if I wanted to be with him instead. I was puzzled. "Didn't you take part in the bet?" Out of all of them, he was the worst. "I did. But didn't you say you liked me, Senior?" Interesting. I thought once Albert achieved his goal, he would exit. Turns out, he's just that shameless. I didn't know why he kept sticking to me, but it meant my plan could proceed smoothly again. When Alexia showed up, Albert waved dismissively. "I'm not fighting you. No point letting someone else benefit." Alexia had actually started acting more like a decent person, so I softened toward him a little, and decided to let him go. Albert, however, remained as awful as ever. Every time he came to me, I made sure to entertain him properly, from the outside. Though, it looked like I had fallen for him, like I was entangled with him despite how terrible he was. Alexia tried to warn me. "Isabella, Albert is really a bad person. Don't believe him, and don't fall for him." Of course I knew. If he weren't bad, I wouldn't bother messing with him. I told Alexia it was better to suffer once than drag it out. I wouldn't string him along or give him false hope. "Honestly, I'm such a good girl," I said. "What does any of this have to do with you?" Albert followed behind me, smiling brightly. "Exactly. What does it have to do with you? Why does he look so happy even when he's about to get beaten? Don't tell me he's developed Stockholm Syndrome too? Chapter 27. I hacked into Angelo's computer, turned on the camera. No choice, the student union surveillance had already been removed by him. Angelo was earnestly trying to persuade Albert. What have you been doing lately? Look at yourself. Do you even have a single spot on your body that isn't injured? Can't you just stay away from her? Albert replied casually. It doesn't hurt. Stop this. I think you're not in your right mind anymore. I'm just playing with her. It's all part of my plan. Everything is under control. Bro, stop talking. I have my own pace. You don't have any damn pace. Alexia has gone crazy because of you too. His relationship with us is on the verge of collapse. What does that have to do with me? Isn't Alexia just being pathetic himself? Stop provoking that woman. She doesn't even like you. You said it yourself. You don't like her either. Then why are you still tangled up like this? I think she likes me quite a bit. She doesn't like you. You're not her. How would you know? Enough. I don't like hearing this. Don't say it again. Albert left. Angelo sat back down in front of his computer, running his fingers through his hair irritably. Suddenly, his gaze froze. He spoke softly. So, you're there? Aw, caught again. Chapter 28. A giant smiley face appeared on Angelo's computer screen, filling the entire display. Then it split into countless smaller smiley faces. Angelo said coldly, "You hacked the student union surveillance too, didn't you? You already knew about their bet, didn't you?" "Correct. Too bad there's no reward. What do you want?" I found it amusing. What could I possibly want? I'm the victim here, okay? A line of bold, enlarged text appeared on the screen, dripping with malice. The same thing you all wanted in the beginning. Angelo covered his face in frustration. It was the first time I'd seen him show such a strong reaction. Can you stop playing with him? Let him go. Stop stringing him along, okay? He came to me, all right? Angelo snapped, losing his composure. If he came to you, couldn't you just stay away? Why should I? Why? I won't. Every time he comes, I'll play with him. Angelo's voice grew angry. How can you treat him like that? He didn't even do anything to you. Are you so biased you've lost your mind? Get this straight, I'm the victim. If you didn't keep your brother in check, why are you blaming others? Angelo apologized in pain. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. What do you want? We'll compensate you. What will it take for you to let him go? When I get bored, I'll let him go. When will you get bored? Maybe tomorrow, maybe never. Angelo yanked out the network cable. Avoidance doesn't solve anything. I took out my phone and called him on video. It took him a while before he answered. I smiled. I can let him go. Angelo's voice was hoarse. Thank you. Black cards, property, shares, will compensate you. Do I look like that kind of person? Sorry. Albert's looks are exactly my type. Since you look just like him, you can take his place. What? For a moment, Angelo's usually composed face showed a stunned, almost naive confusion. It put me in a great mood, and I patiently repeated myself. Angelo refused immediately. Are you insane? That's impossible. I thought you adored your little brother. You won't even repay the small debt for him? Silence filled the other end. The eldest brother is like a father. He turned out this way because you didn't discipline him properly. You're the one most responsible. His debts should be repaid by you. I continued, coaxing. You and I both know what kind of person Albert is. I'm just stringing him along. He's only obsessed with me for now. Once I stop entertaining him, someone as proud as him will leave sooner or later. Isn't that exactly what you want? You should decide quickly. If I keep stringing him along and he actually falls for me, he'll suffer 10,000 times more than he is now. I guarantee it. By then, anything you try to do will be too late. And you'll never fall for me. You'll never have to worry about being hurt or having your feelings toyed with. You'll always be able to walk away rationally. Isn't that right? Play with me for a while, Angelo, for the sake of your beloved little brother. Angelo's voice turned hoarse. You're insane. I would never do something like this. Chapter 29. I slapped Angelo across the face. In a great mood, I smiled. Big brother Angelo, does one slap make a sound? Angelo's voice was hoarse. Yes. I leaned against his chest and laughed softly. You seem to be the leader of your little group, don't you? No. Alexia is half a year older than me. I chuckled. That's not what I meant. You and Albert look identical at first glance. But if you look closely, there are differences. There's a tear mole under your left eye. You're the prettier one. I can tell you two apart at a glance. Angelo covered his face with both arms. Stop talking. I'm someone who keeps my promises. After Angelo agreed to my conditions, I didn't say a single word to Albert, no matter how much he tried to get my attention. I treated him like air. He couldn't stand it and blocked my path. Senior, why are you ignoring me? I ignored him and kept walking. Albert grabbed my wrist. My gaze darkened, my expression turning cold. You're really disgusting. Alexia rushed over and shoved Albert away. Albert fell to the ground, staring at me blankly, too stunned to react. I didn't have time to care about him. After all, his brother was waiting for me at home. Chapter 30. I fed Angelo some water. Your sacrifice worked. You know. Alexia and Albert stopped fighting. After drinking, Angelo leaned against my shoulder, his voice still rough. I wrapped my arms around his back, and the muscles beneath my hands tensed instantly. What a find! There was a tear mole at the corner of Angelo's eye, adding a hint of allure to his cold, restrained face. He was astonishingly slow when it came to this kind of thing. Whenever I spoke, he always took a moment longer than usual to understand. That icy, indifferent face of his would often show a blank, almost innocent expression. His normally distant eyes unknowingly carried a kind of quiet temptation. Delicious. Angelo cried easily. I hadn't expected that. Someone so cold and taciturn, yet he had so many tears. I pinched his chest teasingly. Are you made of water? Angelo flushed with embarrassment and frustration. Sweat dripped down his forehead. Holding on to me, he cried while speaking in a broken voice. Why can't you treat me a little better? You're such a bad woman. You bully me, it hurts, everything hurts, bad woman. Don't you have a heart? He really cried so easily. One light hit and tears would fall instantly. Touch him anywhere, and he'd cry. If I stopped touching him and went to find William instead, he'd still cry silently, expressionless. After drinking too much water, Angelo trembled slightly. The chains around him clinked. I need to go to the bathroom, please. Let me go. Clear tears ran past the tear mole and into his hair. He cried quietly, restrained yet completely broken. I held him, soothing him. It's not dirty at all. It's fine. Angelo's eyes turned red, even the tear mole flushing faintly, making him look even more striking. His body trembled. I slapped him across the face again. That's disgusting. You can't even control yourself? What are you, a 3-year-old? Angelo broke down, covering his eyes with his arm. How can you be like this? Chapter 31. I messaged Angelo to come over. What should I do to him today? Just as I was thinking about it, he arrived. Without saying a word, he sat down beside me. I climbed onto his lap, tracing the beautiful tear mole under his eye. Then I pushed him down. The bed dipped slightly. So, what should we play today, Angelo? Angelo stared straight at me. Strange emotions churned in his eyes. I could read them at a glance. He was heartbroken, aching deeply. What are you waiting for? Do you need me to undress you? After taking off his outerwear, he hesitated, unwilling to pull down the rest. What's wrong? After all this time, are you still shy? Angelo's voice trembled, tears falling rapidly. And then, what are we supposed to do? He was crying earlier than usual today. I slowed my voice, making it unusually gentle. Haven't you gotten pretty good at this already? Oh, I get it. This time you're playing an innocent, inexperienced boy. When our eyes met, his gaze held 3 parts anger, 3 parts jealousy, 4 parts bitterness. He looked up at me, his dark pupils like a deep abyss, but one that could only swallow himself. Such a pitiful expression, a lofty, untouchable figure sinking into the mud. The more he struggled, the deeper he fell. Angelo cried harder than ever before. His movements turned rough, unstructured, burying his face against my neck. His burning tears fell onto my shoulder. Finally, he broke down completely, sobbing. Why are you treating me like this? What was he talking about? I didn't know anything. The door was suddenly flung open. Another Angelo stood there, chest heaving, breathing heavily. Our eyes met, his red, furious gaze locking onto mine. I tilted my head, feigning confusion, unable to suppress my smile. 2 Angelos? The one at the door grabbed the one on the bed by the collar, his knuckles turning white, veins bulging. Albert! How could you do something like this? Albert punched him back. And you have the nerve to question me? Sneaking around with the person I like. Did you ever treat me like your brother? Since we were kids. Albert's voice choked. Since we were kids. I've never fought you over anything. You told me to stay away from her, to keep my distance, while secretly being with her yourself. I told you so many times how much I liked her. What were you thinking, Angelo? Did you think I was a joke? Angelo, you're so fake it makes me sick. Albert crouched down in pain, curling into himself. Angelo stood there stiffly, silent, not fighting back. I wanted to pretend to be angry at being deceived, but the situation was just too ridiculous. My acting skills weren't that good, so I spoke up for Angelo instead. Enough. Actually, your dear brother did all this for your sake. The moment I said it, both identical young men looked at me, tears in their eyes, the same aggrieved expression, like 2 dogs fighting, waiting for their owner to choose between them. Did they forget? If I were a good person, none of this would have happened. I held back my laughter and continued my nonsense. Albert, your brother endured all this to protect you. The one I've always liked is your brother, I said angrily. But you pretended to be him and deceived me. You disgust me. I walked past them and left. Albert's voice was cut off behind the door. Angelo, you're disgusting. I don't have a brother like you. Chapter 32. Those who toy with others will eventually be toyed with themselves. All 4 of them had been completely played by me. Their relationships had already fallen apart, ending in total chaos. Just thinking about it made me feel pleased. My thesis had been published, and I had secured an offer from a prestigious university. My flight was tomorrow afternoon. Goodbye. I hope you all learn to be better people. My luggage was already packed. Suddenly, the police called. Alexia was threatening to jump from a building. He wanted to see me one last time. The police asked me to come persuade him. Ridiculous. What does that have to do with me? Chapter 33. On the rooftop of the 33rd floor. The wind howled fiercely. Alexia looked much thinner. Dark circles under his eyes, bloodshot veins filling them. He sat on the edge, legs dangling outside, as if he could fall at any moment. I felt extremely annoyed. If I had really been emotionally fooled by them, I would never cry, make a scene, or threaten suicide. How embarrassing is that? I would just leave without hesitation, wait for my comeback, then take revenge. Alexia turned his head and forced a bitter smile. Isabella. I thought you wouldn't come. Firefighters surrounded the area. His 3 so-called brothers were also there, standing far apart from each other. I spoke my honest thoughts. Alexia, you're really embarrassing. A firefighter interrupted me. Miss, please don't speak like that. Alexia shouted at them. You're not allowed to talk to her like that. I said coldly. If you jump now, this will be the last time we ever see each other. Alexia cried in broken sobs. But you don't want to see me anymore. If this face can no longer earn your affection, then it has no meaning to exist. Isabella. I know I've committed an unforgivable mistake. If I'm willing to atone with my life, would you forgive me? But you can look at me. I never said you couldn't. Seriously. Alexia froze. Really? I said. I should have confiscated all those cliché romance dramas you read. You're not thinking something like this, are you? That you'll die as some tragic white moonlight. And when I have everything, I'll remember the man who once gave his life for me and feel endless sorrow? Alexia shook his head, swaying like a leaf about to fall in the wind. No, Isabella, I'm not that self-absorbed. I just don't know how to make it up to you. What do I have to do for you to look at me again? While we were talking, the firefighters seized the moment. They rushed forward, restrained him, and pulled him back. Chapter 34. At tens of thousands of meters in the air. I heard updates about Alexia. His family was shocked by his suicide attempt. They wanted to pressure and retaliate against me. But Alexia desperately stopped them. That was good. At least he didn't cause me any extra trouble. Chapter 35. It turns out there are only 2 moments when getting into graduate school feels truly happy. When you receive the offer. And when you finish your thesis defense. After that, the pressure skyrockets again. The food abroad is terrible. And there's all kinds of discrimination. Locals discriminate against Asians. Asians discriminate against me. And unfortunately, none of the bad boys who approached me were fresh. I refuse to lower my standards. Just the thought of someone being used by others makes me feel nauseous. But eventually, the pressure became overwhelming. And I had to lower my expectations. It's all those men's fault. At the beginning, I wasn't this extreme. It's easy to go from simple to indulgent, but impossible to go back. Finding someone who is both clean and attractive is incredibly rare. After much effort, I finally found someone barely acceptable. I had no choice but to compromise a little. Worst case, I'd just keep my distance. The foreign guy followed closely behind me as we headed home. Then suddenly, I noticed a Bugatti Mistral parked downstairs. 4 handsome men stepped out. One elegant and charming. One refined and cool. One cold and distant. One bright and cheerful. They looked familiar. How did they make up already? Whatever, perfect timing. I waved the foreign guy away, whistled lightly, and walked toward them. Chapter 36. As soon as we walked in, Albert said, "Wow, this place is tiny." Alexia sneered. "Then get out." Albert raised an eyebrow. "Isn't this senior's place? Why are you acting like the owner?" William lowered his gaze. "I'll buy a bigger place later, closer to your school. A place this small, even a dog would get depressed living here." Alexia snapped. "If you can't stand it, then leave. Who asked you to come?" Albert's tone turned syrupy. "Wow, you think her place is too small? Unlike you, as long as I can stay by her side, I'd be fine even living in a doghouse." I raised a brow. "You're planning to stay long-term?" Angelo replied coolly. I rubbed my palms together. Already planning how to use them. One cool guy, one actor, one crybaby, one dog. I'll do this, and then that too. William naturally went into the kitchen to cook. Angelo followed to help him. Meanwhile, I played cards with Alexia and Albert. The winner would go first. I had been holding back for too long, so I wanted something big. So I manipulated the game, and let Albert win. Alexia looked wronged. "Wife, I can do it too," Albert barked back. "Go to hell. Stop flattering yourself." Then he turned to me, his voice suddenly soft and sweet. The glint of his tongue piercing flashing faintly. "Play with me.